Thursday was Big Ten Media Day for men's basketball. Brad Underwood had a lot to say, and I think we're starting to settle on who's going to be our starting center this year. Locked On Illini, let's go.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Illini. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Simple reminder, you can find us on your favorite audio platform. You can find us on YouTube, all a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. In fact, it's Friday. If you're watching this on YouTube, pull up Spotify or Apple Podcasts, find Locked On Illini, hit that subscribe and download button. If you're listening to this via audio, whenever you're done, find us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button on that channel. Again, it helps this channel immensely. I can't say this enough. We're so close to 1,300 subscribers, and that's my goal to hit before the Purdue game. My name is Sunny Verma. You can find me at IlliniCast or at the Sunny V or all social medias. Just do a quick search for Locked On Illini. Today's going to be a fun episode. We had Big Ten Media Days this week. On Wednesday, we covered women's basketball, and Thursday was the men's team. Brad Underwood had a lot to say, both in regards to the coaching changes, some of the personnel on the team, and in the second segment, we're going to be talking about what I think was one of the biggest mysteries coming into this preseason, and I think it might just about be settled now. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with the big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So basketball season is right around the corner because the Big Ten held its annual Big Ten Media Days in Chicago this year, and Brad Underwood took alongside with him Kylan Boswell and Rodgers to represent the University of Illinois and basically take questions from the media. They were having fun with it, as this program tends to do. They had some fun bingo cards made up, and if you haven't seen those online, take a look. It's just the guys have fun. And Brad Underwood, whether it's Super Soakers at the end of games last year, he tries to definitely keep the mood light when the mood can be kept light. Obviously, Brad's a guy who, when it's time to get intense, there may be nobody more intense than Brad, but the guys were having fun. Again, Kylan, Ty were looking good. I think they represented the Illini very, very well. Brad was asked a bunch of questions. He was up on the panel for about 30 minutes or so. And the main question that I kind of had in mind, had I been there, was going to be getting his thoughts on this roster overhaul. And this is what Brad had to say when asked. I guess it goes back to my junior college upbringing, where you have 8, 10 new guys every year, and you have to figure it out and put those pieces together. I say this, and this sounds crazy, but I like to win. If we're doing something that starts that we don't like, we're going to not be afraid to change it. I think that's one of the things I feel very comfortable with, is making those changes. We got a system last year where we were able to maximize Marcus as a power forward at Southern Illinois, who became our lead guard and found a way to play and be successful. The basis changed. We still want to play fast. We still want to play effective on the offensive glass. Just little tweaks here and there are what take place. But this group is different, and we've been very, very specific in positional size, who can shoot it, and those are the things that we're continuing to look for to keep trying to find mismatches and advantages as easily as we can. Now, I think that is important to highlight because it's one of the traits of Brad Underwood that I value the most, his adaptability. He's a head coach, a very successful head coach, who isn't afraid to make a change and make a change as quickly as he recognizes that a change may need to be made. There's other coaches, not only in the country, but in this very conference, who might wait it out as long as they can or wait till the end of the season if they see something that's not working. Brad is not like that. And you see it could come from his junior college coaching days. Brad's built a system where he did the press, full court press when he first came to the Illini. Obviously, that didn't work for a while, so he had to switch that up. He's built a team around a strong lead guard and a strong center when we had Io and Kofi. When Io left, he built an offensive system going through a big man like Kofi. And then last year, of course, we ran one of the most efficient offenses in the entire country. In fact, for the better part of the season, it was the most efficient offense in the entire country. Brad's not scared to make a change, and that's why there's no other coach in the Big Ten that I'd rather want coaching our team. The other trait about Brad is that he's not complacent. One other thing I like about Brad is he's not complacent. We made the Elite Eight last year, and when asked about that on Thursday, this was his response. There's no doubt it was a step. We had a great team a few years ago. We were a 1 seed and got upset. I think that's the beauty of the tournament. I think it was more media driven, the concerns and fans maybe than I was. I just felt like we have to keep getting back there. We had a great team last year in terms of character and toughness, and we were an old team. We hit the portal and got some veterans. That team had a maturity about it, but there's no doubt I thought we were a Final Four team that just happened to lose to UConn in the Elite Eight. They were very, very good. I thought we were a team that had a chance, but no doubt it was great. We're not satisfied. The Elite Eight is a great step, but we've got 2 more that we'd like to play, and we've got to keep striving to get there. Brad talked about this in the offseason when he walked off the court after that UConn loss, and he said that he recognized the difference between what an Elite Eight team looks like and what a national championship team looks like. And I think that had a big part to do with his aggression to bring in a guy like Will Riley and Kasparis Shakishonis. I mean, this team essentially has 2 potential lottery picks for next year's team. Potential 5 NBA players if you really count guys like Booth, Boswell, who all have NBA type of qualities. Brad said routinely, and it wasn't just Brad, Ty Rodgers made a mention of it, that talent-wise, this team is the most talented team they've had in a very, very long time. And that's kind of echoing thoughts that I've had previously made on this show as well. I'm not saying the team is as good as last year's team. No, this is purely by definition. Last year's team, as Brad said, was old. You know, you had a 24-year-old Terrence Shannon Jr. You had a 5th-year Marcus Domask. But Terrence Shannon Jr. was not a lottery pick. Marcus Domask was not a lottery pick. The reason I'm so unsure about how this season's going to go is because I do genuinely think that there is a potential. You never know with freshmen, right? With a guy like Will Riley and Kasparis, are they going to struggle early on? Or are they going to play like lottery picks immediately? I don't know. This team is extremely deep. We run 9 or 10 players deep on this team. This team is much deeper than the ones that we've had in the past. And I do think the X factors are those 2 freshmen that we brought in who, again, have a talent level that we really haven't had in a very long time. And note, I talk about the freshmen, but the guy who was actually mentioned most by, again, Brad Underwood and Kylan and Ty Rodgers was Ben Hummerkaus, who, keep in mind, in one of the offseason episodes, I predicted to have the highest points per game on this team next season. Brad had this to say: Ben Hummerkaus started at an NAIA school for 3 years, went to Evansville. He's been a huge and very pleasant surprise. Very, very gifted shooter. I have a group of 3 freshmen that I'm very excited about to see their growth. They're probably the most talented freshmen that we've had on our campus. So we'll see. I think all those guys will have an opportunity to really affect our play. Brad was very open about realizing that this team needed some of its veteran leadership from Ty Rodgers and Kylan Boswell, and having these young guys find their roles and ASAP. It was all over social media where Brad talked about the non-conference schedule, and he told the media that, hey, I want these guys to play in essentially the toughest environments. I want them to be battle-hardened. So when the Big Ten schedule starts, the team will be ready. The team will still be young, but at least they will have played in the toughest of environments in all of college basketball. And so there's going to be no intimidation factor when the schedule gets to the point where it really does count. Brad knows this team needs to get tougher. He needs to work them harder. It's not a team like last year where he had veterans. This is a younger team, and this is a team that he's going to be pushing, in particular, I think, a lot early in the season, because he knows that the ceiling of this team is actually quite high and probably higher than most people give it credit for. All in all, I think Brad did a fantastic job. Answer the questions that were asked. I still think it's quite interesting. Illinois was ranked number 4 in the preseason poll. I don't think anything's changed anyone's mind in regards to it, but I'm glad that Brad realizes that, hey, I've got a really talented team, but that first part of the season, we may lose a game here or there, but it's for the sole purpose because we got a nice taste of the Elite Eight last year, but we want higher. We want more. And so he's a coach who is going to be willing to adapt. He's going to throw everyone into the fire. We're going to find out who can handle it, who can't handle it. Hopefully we'll see roles being settled soon. And speaking of roles, we're going to talk about the starting center position, which I think, with a couple of things that we heard on Thursday, might be settled. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Another thing that we were all kind of waiting on is to kind of hear what's going on with the center position with Illinois. Now, just to catch some of you up, Tomislav Ivicic, a 7'1", 230, although I've heard rumors now that he's all the way up to 250-pound center, is unfortunately still dealing with some sort of visa issues in regards to his eligibility to play college basketball this season. Now, his brother played for Kentucky last year and had to deal with similar issues, and he wasn't cleared until January 20th of last year. Now, the staff does not think that Tomislav's timeline is quite that long, but it doesn't look like they really have an end date in mind either. This is what Brad had to say in regards to Tomislav. Just going through the process. It's a timely process. We accomplish some things and then we wait some more. But having said that, Brad Underwood was glowing when he decided to talk about Morez Johnson. Morez, obviously, the former 4-star prospect, is one of the most exciting prospects that Illinois has gotten in a very, very long time. He's played fantastic for the Team USA under 18 over the offseason. And from what we've all heard is he's been one of the standouts in the offseason practices the team has been having. Brad Underwood had this to say about Morez. Morez has been incredible. Morez has been a guy that we haven't had. He's been that lob catcher that you can throw it up and he just goes and gets it, no matter how high you throw it. He's extremely athletic. He was 252 pounds. He doesn't have a body like a freshman. We haven't had that kind of athlete. He's a sub-5-minute mile guy at that weight. He's a guy who can really run. He's just got that Chicago grit, toughness, dog, whatever you want to use. And he's been a dominant rebounder literally since the summer. For him, it's staying out of foul trouble. It's all the little things on the defensive side that he's got to do. He's got big responsibilities because he's guarding guys and ball screens a lot. Man, I'm excited about it. And so are the rest of us. So is all of Illini Nation. All offseason long, I've made my predictions being Ivicic would be the starting center. I just think he's an older guy. I believe he's 21 years old. And with that size, 7'1", 230, it would come in handy with other teams who've kind of loaded up on big players, such as in Indiana, who is the conference favorite by a lot of prognosticators. But the more this drags on with the Visic, I think I'm more and more comfortable saying that I think Morez might just be that guy. What are my thoughts on it? Somewhat exciting, but at the same time, I think that will cause the team to struggle a little bit more because now you're putting in another freshman in that starting lineup. And again, he may be 250 pounds or whatever Brad had said that he was, but big men in the Big Ten Conference struggle. In particular with foul troubles, which Brad actually did allude to. So Morez, it's going to be a learning process. I would have preferred to have Morez coming off the bench for 15 to 20 minutes, maybe during the non-conference schedule, and then kind of reevaluating how far he's progressed and whether the game has slowed down for him once the Big Ten season hit. But it looks like with Tomislav still continue to having this struggle. Now, keep in mind, Tomislav is able to practice with the team. So it's not like when he gets cleared that they're going to have to reacclimate him with the basketball team and, have to develop some chemistry. No, he's practicing with the team as is right now. So they're learning each other's strengths and weaknesses. And if by some reason Tomislav were to be able to get cleared sooner rather than later, well, then I can just go ahead and change my prediction again to Tomislav starting. But as of now, it really looks like to me with the positive momentum that Morez has had over this offseason and basically which has gone through the practices and the workouts that they've had, I think Morez may very well be the starting center on this team. I'm excited to see an athletic big on our team. Again, we've had guys like Kofi and Coleman Hawkins who are very good basketball players and very skilled at what they do. But as Underwood said, we've never really had a big where you just kind of lob it up and you're confident that the guy will come down with the ball for a dunk. So we'll see how this experiment goes. We'll see if Morez hopefully can hit the ground running. And again, this is not a prediction yet. Well, I guess it is a prediction now that we're only a few weeks away from our first basketball game. I just think with Tomislav not being cleared yet, and I'm hoping it doesn't take as long as January, but at this point with the NCAA, you never really know. I think we'll be in pretty good shape regardless who starts at center. Speaking of Morez Johnson, the guy that had little to do with recruiting him, Tim Anderson, Brad Underwood did make a couple comments in regards to the coaching change. He talked about, and quote, "We've got Orlando Antigua back, and Jeff Alexander has been killing it on the recruiting trail. Obviously, Tim was awesome. The on-the-court stuff, we've got a staff of young guys, and adding Qua to it, he's done workouts in the NBA. He was very instrumental in Io and Trent's development on the court as a GA. Tyler Underwood and Zach Hamer are both excellent teachers on the court. That part will be great. We'll be fine. You don't make up for a Tim with just one guy. He was instrumental in what we did, but those other guys are good and have connections as well. I wish Tim nothing but great health and well-being, and he was fabulous for us." And again, I guess that kind of wraps up the Tim Anderson discussion. I don't know if we're ever really going to get an answer to what really went on. Obviously, all the sides, whether it be Brad, Tim Anderson himself, and even Josh Whitman had some quotes at Media Day. They all seem very cordial. Nobody really is even hinting that this was a split that had any bad feelings one way or the other. And I've talked about how important that could be just because of the influence Tim does have in the city of Chicago. It also looks like that, as we pretty much assumed, Brad is going to ride with these guys. He's going to have Qua replace Tim for this season. And then I'm sure as soon as the season is over, he's going to go very aggressively trying to find and replace a Tim Anderson, which is going to be very hard to do. But keep in mind, at the salary spot that Tim Anderson was at and where this program is in the world of college basketball, that's going to be a very, very highly sought after position. You're going to have some of the top assistants in the country interested. And again, not just the team, but the amount of money we're going to be able to offer. College football season is well underway, and if you're looking to make your favorite team's home game, please check out the Game Time app. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through the thousands of tickets. Please customize your spot. Use all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. And, of course, the lowest price guarantee. Or else the Game Time app will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And that's going to wrap it up for this Friday edition of Locked On Illini. Some other news I did want to mention is Josh Whitman did hint that it sounds like Shauna Green might be extending her contract with the Illini very, very soon. And that is music to my ears. I think Shauna is the best thing to happen to the women's program in a very, very long time. And I genuinely mean it when I say I think very highly of Brett Bielema. I think very highly of Brad Underwood. But I think that Shauna Green might honestly be the best coach that we have at the University of Illinois. Marcus Domask, earlier in the week, was announced that he made the training camp team roster for the Chicago Bulls. And then shortly thereafter, he was cut. It's not all bad news. It seems like basically if you make the roster move before the season starts, or at least before the preseason starts, the Bulls still get to hold on to Marcus's rights. And it seems more than likely that Marcus is going to be starting his professional career with the Windy City Bulls. So definitely be wearing your Marcus Domask Illinois jerseys should you have them, and go support the local Windy City Bulls and go support the local Illini. Again, that just about wraps it up for today's episode. On your way out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're interested. Follow me also at Big Ten Show on YouTube. I'll be doing a live watch party since the Illini don't play. We're going to be watching Rodgers versus Nebraska. Should be a fantastic game. Next week, we're going to start our basketball previews. I'm going to be bringing on experts from all the other Big Ten teams, and we're going to basically try to get ourselves geared up and ready for basketball season, and also, of course, preview the game against Purdue, which, in my opinion, is a must win. And thank you for making Locked On Illini your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Big Ten podcast. Craig Shimon puts the Big Ten first when everyone else overlooks it. Find Locked On Big Ten on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. That'll wrap it up. Hope you all enjoy your weekend. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.